Today's session is tips and tricks for using Microsoft Excel. Clearly, we could spend probably 365 days on Microsoft Excel. But today, I'm just going to go over a few tips and tricks, little things that maybe have come up, people have asked me questions about. And these are just quick and easy little tips that can help you along the way if you work with Excel. I know that a lot of you give me a lot of feedback about wanting more support with Excel. So I'm trying to learn more myself because Excel to me is a entity all in its own. So I am going to Excel school myself and trying to come up with some really great tips and tricks for all of you. Um, in hopes to not only better myself in using Excel, but also help you and teach you something that you may not have known before, even if you use it on a daily. So again, I have kind of the agenda up on the few things that we're going to go over, but I also took some extra notes of other little things I wanted to throw in this session. Yes, we're scheduled for a half an hour, but because it's Excel, it may go over. So just be prepared for that. Obviously, I understand everybody's time and want to be cognizant of that. So if you have to go at 1, I totally understand. Remember, these sessions are always recorded and it'll be on the website, so you can always refer back to it at the end. So I'm just going to wait another minute or so, and then I'm just going to kind of dive in and get started. I don't have anybody moderating the chat today, so if you do throw questions in there, that's totally fine. We'll turn mics on and cameras on at the end, and you can feel free to ask those questions, or I can review the questions at that time. And again, just thanks for giving the feedback on, wanting Excel, because it's pushing me to do more with Excel myself so I can support you better. And that's that. That's my spiel. So we will get started, like I said, in 1 minute. Okay, I am back and I'm going to get started. And like I said, keep in mind, this is just an initial tips and tricks for using Microsoft Excel. A lot of this stuff may be familiar to some of you, but maybe I can show you something that you know already, but how to use it in a different way. So we will do a lot more tips and tricks on Excel. So this is just the first kind of in the series. So please keep coming back. Please share, the webinar information and kind of promote people joining as much as possible because I would appreciate that. Okay, so we're going to get started now. I'm just going to minimize this screen and open up a Excel file. So I have here a demo Excel file that I'm going to use to show you all the tips and tricks today that I'm going to go through. So first thing I'm going to start with is something called, and sorry, just don't mind me. Also, like I said, I don't have anybody kind of helping me out today, so I need to just let people in as they come in. So just bear with me on that as well. All right. So we're going to get started with what is called the quick analysis tool. I think this is a really strong tool, especially for beginners or, sorry, letting somebody else in. So I think this is a really strong tool for beginners or, people who just want to use formulas in a different way or use some functions and features in a different way. So the quick analysis tool, you just can easily highlight a row of data, a column of data, or a row of data, and then that little box pops up for you at the bottom of where you've highlighted the data. That's called your quick analysis. While I have this kind of highlighted and popped open, I also want you to realize that with any Excel tools or actions, if you highlight over that or just hover over it with your mouse, if there is a keyboard shortcut associated with that, it'll pop up right next to the name of the tool. So for example, if you wanted to use a keyboard shortcut, If you're familiar with those and more comfortable with those, the keyboard shortcut for quick analysis would be Control Q. So that's how you could easily pop that up. But otherwise, you just click on this box here that pops up after you highlight all the data. Now you have a great set of tools here that you can easily access and do a quick analysis of your data. You have formatting options, chart options, totals. So here's some basic formulas, right? Table. You can turn the data into different types of tables, and sparklines. So again, even if you're just hovering over that action, it'll show you what it looks like without you having to click into it and ruin maybe what you already have. It's kind of a preview. So me just moving my mouse over each option is showing me what it will turn it into if I did click on that action. So I really like to use quick analysis. I think it's a great and quick tool. Next up is formatting. So if we go to, I'm going to switch over to this worksheet. Oh, one more, hold on. Okay. Again, just a reminder, this session, all of my sessions are always recorded. So if you missed a piece in the beginning or have to, jump out at a certain time, it's always recorded, and you can refer back to it. It'll be on the website. Next up is formatting. So if you go to the page layout tab on the top of the screen, you have a bunch of different formatting options here. Some I like to point out because sometimes people don't even know they exist. So I like to show things that maybe you didn't know were there or wouldn't have normally used. So for example, the grid lines. So we know that behind an Excel sheet, right? We have these grid lines here. But what if you didn't want those there and you just wanted it to be a blank white space? You could do that. You just uncheck where it says grid lines and then view, just uncheck that. Now you have a blank white space. So you can definitely do that. And you also have the option to view and print headings for your Excel sheets. Each workbook could have its own, each sheet could have its own heading, and you can view those or print those. So you can choose that here as well. Another great option is the background. So I showed you how to remove the grid lines if you wanted to do that, but you can actually change the background of an Excel sheet by putting an image behind it. If you have a specific image, so maybe you have a logo or something that you want as the background, you can browse your files, pull that in from your OneDrive or from your File Explorer. But you can also do a Bing search and you can search for any type of image that you may like. So I'll just choose a random one just to show you how that goes. And again, this is not for probably a lot of use cases, but it may come in handy for specific use cases. So if I just click Insert, it now turned my Excel background sheet into this beautiful thing to view. So again, you could play with formatting and maybe change that. The grid lines, if you want to keep those, you can make them darker or thicker so you could see it over the image. But just another great little extra feature that uh, Microsoft Excel offers. All right. The next thing I wanted to show you is if you have data in a table like this or in a sheet like this, where a lot of you I know use this for creating purchase orders or formatting like this, you can turn something like this into a table very easily. If you just highlight this area that you want turned into a table, you can go back and use that quick analysis tool that I talked about before, pop that open, and then just go to tables and then click table. So it automatically will turn that set of those columns and those cells into a table because I highlighted them. If I wanted the whole thing turned into a table, I would just highlight the whole area, or I could just click this left corner in the top left corner and it would highlight the whole thing, and then I can go in and turn it into a table that way. But now I've turned this area into a table, which gives me a lot more features. Right now I can drill down, I can sort, and I can filter. So this allows that. You also have the ability, once you turn something into a table, to play with the table design. So again, up at the top here, once I have this, let me just re-highlight this just to make sure. Okay. And now up here, I have table styles. You can scroll through by using the arrows, but I like to kind of pop it out using that bottom arrow because then it gives me all of the table ideas. And again, you could preview the change before you decide what you want by just hovering over, moving your mouse over each style, and then you can easily decide which one you want. And you can always create a new style or clear it out here at the bottom. All right. I'm just going to undo what I did, if you don't mind, so that I can use this again for another training. Okay. Next up is formatting cells. So if you want to format a cell for a specific purpose, for example, I'm going to highlight these cells here. I'm going to actually highlight all of these cells. And I'm going to come up to the number category right in the middle of the home tab right here. I like to pop this out because if you pop this out, it gives you a lot more options and features than you would normally just see right here. So I like to pop it out, and this allows you to now format the cells for a specific category. So if you just click through those different options, you can now choose what you want that row, cell, group that you've highlighted, how you want that to be formatted. So again, the currency is already here and created, but you can choose how you want negative numbers to be shown, how many decimal places there are. You really can drill down and format how you would like. After you format the category, or you pick the number category, then you can go into other types of formatting for the cells. You can go into alignment, which also has wrapping the text here, shrinking the text to fit, or merging your cells. You can change the font, style, color, size, all of that. You have strike through. You can put borders around, you can fill the cells, and you can protect or lock the cell. You can even hide a cell here. So again, I like to pop that out because it gives me all of these options that I wouldn't see right here. So that's how you can format your cells in different ways. Right, moving on. All right, so formulas. Excel does a great job of not expecting you to memorize formulas anymore, which is a plus for me. So for example, I'm just going to pop over here, and if I highlight this group of text here, again, if I click that quick analysis pop up, I can always come in and do a quick analysis of the basic formulas or functions that I like to use. For example, sum, average, count, percent total, running. There's a whole bunch you can choose from here. But in case you don't see the one you need there, if you just come up to the formulas tab in the top of the screen, all of the formulas are here and the function library is here. They group them for you by category. So you can come in here and look at that here. You can also click insert function. And this is a really strong feature here because if you just type a description of what you're trying to do, it will automatically pull up some options for you of which function or formula would match what you're trying to do. So this is another strong feature. This is very similar to if you come up to the search bar at the top of the screen and type in here as well. It will also bring up different formulas and functions based off your search. So this is another really strong feature for Microsoft. You don't have to pop out into Google or pop out into Microsoft Edge to search for a formula or a function you're trying to do. You can actually search for it right within Excel. Okay. I mentioned this before, I'm just going to mention it one more time. If you do like to use keyboard shortcuts, again, if there is an action that has an associated keyboard shortcut, if you just hover over that action with your mouse, the description and or the keyboard shortcut will pop up. So as you can see, I'm just kind of moving my mouse around different areas and different functions to see which one would pop up with a keyboard shortcut. Try going into here. I know, I saw it before. Sometimes it likes to make a liar out of me, Microsoft. Oh boy. Why isn't it doing this for me today? We saw it before. Let's see. Let's go over to data. Let's try this. You. So again, I was trying to come up with an example, but I don't want to waste time. We did see it before. Again, if you just drag your mouse over all of the functions or actions in the ribbon. If there is an associated keyboard shortcut, it will be next to the title, and underneath that will be the description of that function. So I think you guys got the point of that, but if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm gonna move on. Okay. Um, okay, quickly and easily resizing columns and rows. So a quick and easy way to do that, I'm gonna go back to this sheet here. If you want to select all and easily have Excel manipulate your rows and your columns so that they're all evenly distributed, again, if you just click that right top left corner, not right, sorry, top left corner, and highlight the whole entire section, you can then click Control A. I'm sorry, Control A will also highlight the whole section. And then you're going to click Alt, the Alt key, and then HOA, and then Alt HOI. That will automatically move the columns and the rows to meet the needs of the data that's in them. So that's a way to do the whole entire thing at one time. But of course, if you wanted to just resize a specific row, you can just double click in between the two rows. So the line in between, I just double clicked and it will automatically resize that. And again, if you right click, I'm sorry, on a column, if you want to resize, you're double clicking the line in between the two columns. On a row, I like to right click and then you can change the row height here. So some different ways that you can do that. All right, moving on to adding more rows or columns. So if you want to add or delete a row or a column, the best way that I've seen to do that is you just come in, you highlight the column that you want to add a column next to, and then you hold down your control key and you click the plus sign. It will immediately put a column right next to that column that you have highlighted. And if I click the minus symbol or the minus sign, and again, I'm using the plus and minus sign on my number keypad all the way to the right of my keyboard. That seems to work the best. I suggest using that. Again, plus and minus, but I'm holding down the control key as I'm clicking plus and minus to add or delete. All right, we're up to text wrapping. I'm going to go to this tab here. So text wrapping allows you to see all of the text in a cell in a more easily readable way, right? Instead of seeing text going across an entire row like this, it's not easy to read. You want to see all the text. So I put some demo text in here, and then I want to show you if I just highlight that, and then I click the Home tab, and then I come here to wrap text, it's going to put all that text in one cell. It's going to wrap it down. But now I can't see it either because my column is not resized. So now I'm going to come up in between A and B, and I'm going to double click on that line. And now it's going to automatically resize. And now I can see all of my text nicely and legible. Much better than just one long straight line of text. So that's how you can text wrap. Okay, filters. Go back over here. So here for filters, again, if you create a table like we did here, you can always do that drop down for filtering. But if you don't have a table, you can always highlight your text and come up to where it says sort and filter. And you can choose here if you're going to sort from smallest to largest, largest to smallest, or if you're going to create a custom sort or custom filter. That's where you would do that. All right, next quick thing. What are we doing? Oh, we're not doing too bad on time. All right, so next I wanted to show you, and I did do a what the tech on this, but I want to bring it up one more time because I do think it's a really strong feature. With all of this AI stuff coming out, especially Microsoft, they're embedding a lot of those tools and features within their products. So Excel has what's called the Analyze Data function here, where it will kind of help you to analyze the data that you have on the page. So I'm just going to highlight this data. And then I'm going to come up here and click Analyze Data. And it's going to pretty much do all the work for me. It'll give you some discovered insights. And if you like what you see, you can just click Insert that table. So this is a pivot table that it created. You can insert these different types of charts that it created. They have a whole bunch of different results that you can look through. But what's also great about this is you can actually ask a question about your data, and the AI is going to kind of look through your data and try to answer that question for you and allow you to populate a pivot table or a chart to answer that question. So it's kind of like your own little personal assistant within Microsoft Excel. So I definitely urge you to play with that and try it out. All right, moving on. Quick access toolbar. Again, I have talked about this in my What the Tech videos as well. That is this bar that sits right here. And again, mine is under the ribbon. The default is that it will be up on the top above the ribbon. So if you don't see yours on the bottom, check up on the top and you'll see it there. If you want to move it down to the bottom, you would just click this drop down arrow and then you would click, yours would say move or show below the ribbon. Mine says show above the ribbon because it's already below. So if you want to move it, you have the option to do that here. Your quick access toolbar allows you to put your functions and your actions that you used most regularly in one line. Quick and easy for you to click that button instead of searching through the whole entire ribbon. In order to create this quick access toolbar the way you want it, just go to More Commands. Here, they're always going to have this popular commands area. That's the default that pops up, but that doesn't mean you can't find every command and function. So if you click pop the drop down and then go to all commands, this is going to give you an alphabetized list of every single command action that you can find and use within Microsoft Excel. And then you can choose which ones you want, click add, and you can move it into your quick access toolbar. Few things here. You can add separators. The separator is always at the top, so you would just click it and then click add. And you can also click on the command and move it and organize them in the way that you would like by just highlighting it and clicking the up or down arrow to move it, just like that. One last thing about quick access toolbar. If you would like to attach a quick access toolbar to an Excel sheet that travels with that Excel sheet, so it's specific to that sheet or that workbook, not just all documents that you create or use in Microsoft Excel, you could do that as well. And I think that's a very strong feature. So where it says Customize Quick Access Toolbar, where right now I have it set for the default, which is all documents. But if I click that drop down and I choose the document that I am in currently, that means that that Quick Access Toolbar that I create will travel with this workbook. So anyone that has access to it will also see that quick access toolbar that I've created for this worksheet. Very strong tool. So highly encourage you to play with that a little bit. Once you have it set the way you want, you just click OK, and it will live right here, and you can quick and easily click into those actions or commands that you need without having to go into the big ribbon. And then you can actually hide, I'm sorry, then you can check off or uncheck always show your ribbon. So this way you don't need to see that big ribbon, you just use your quick access toolbar. The breath. Okay, Control F. So I'm just going to click Control F. Control F is another strong feature. This allows you to search, find, and replace certain data. Um, right now, I think most people know how to use this by, saying that they need to find maybe a specific amount or a specific name, a specific date, but there's so many other things you can do with this. So you can actually not only find those options, but you can find and replace. So if you needed to do that in one swift move, you could do that here, but you can also click options. That gives you a whole bunch of other features to drill down into in the search, find, and replace feature, which is just using your keyboard command of Control F. So again, this is a really nice feature if you have a big workbook that has a ton of data that you are not going to scan through with just your eyes, right? You could kind of have this feature do the work for you. Okay, conditional formatting. I'm Again, I'm going to use this data just to give you an idea of how this looks. If I come up to conditional formatting here, and keep in mind, you want to set your rules first. So in other words, the if then statements, you want to kind of set those first. If this happens, then if this is equal to, right, those type of rules, you want to set those first. But then after that, they give you a bunch of different conditional formatting options. And just like I showed you before, if you just hover over, you can see how that's going to look. You can preview that and then decide which one you like best. And when you click on it, it will set that format for you. The color scales are really nice if you're trying to really have a way to differentiate your data. And they also have these icon sets, which I think are great, which gives you these symbols that can really represent your data in a nice visual way. But again, just make sure you go in and set the rules first so that the conditional format knows what to do with these different icons or conditional formatting. Okay, we are up to flash fill. Wow, I'm actually moving pretty quickly, which is nice. Hopefully, I'm not going too fast. Okay, flash fill, I think, is one of the greatest features of Excel. It kind of picks up a pattern for you without you having to put in all that data by hand individually. So, for example, I have a list here of names, right? I have last names, first names, and then I have full names together. And now I need to put everybody's email address. And if I know that this is the pattern of everybody's email address, all I have, ooh, I didn't mean to do that. Sorry about that. All I have to do is highlight that. I keep clicking on it instead of just highlighting it. Sorry about that. Um, all I have to do is highlight that and then click Control E and it will flash fill. And there's also an action in the ribbon to do that as well. But again, sometimes the keyboard shortcuts are great, especially if you memorize them and you use them a lot. But here, what it did is picked up the pattern for me that I started with just one cell, and it picked up the pattern and filled all of those email addresses in one press of these two keys. So Control E is the shortcut for your flash fill. Okay. Search bar, I think I mentioned that before, but up at the top here, the search bar for Microsoft, sorry, the recording is in the way. I'm just going to move that. So the search bar, you can search actions. They can suggest actions for you. You can even search people in here. It's definitely a strong feature if you want to find something quickly without having to search through the different commands and actions within Excel. So definitely recommend using that. And there you can see it actually had a shortcut. Okay, last two things. This, number one, let me open this real quick. I'm going to open the web. My website, again, all of my video tips, all of my webinar recordings are all here. I just want to remind you of that. We're starting a new series, Best Practices, Nassau Bosse's Best Practices. You're going to see some of these videos popping up here. And I always have suggest a topic. So if you're ever thinking of something you want me to do a session on, please fill out that form. And always adding to my Microsoft 365 tools and resources here. So because we're doing Excel, I wanted to click in there and show you some great things I have. So all of the videos I've ever done about Excel are all here, but also these tools and resources down here. These are different types of guides, quick starts, function tables, the Excel functions alphabetically. It's a great tool. And there's also a Excel keyboard shortcuts periodic table, which I'll open real quick because I think this is such a great tool. I would print this out, right, if I used Excel all the time and just put it on my desk. I think it's just such a great way to display some of the keyboard shortcuts. So I always keep adding some things and resources in that section to make things easier for you. And then the last thing I'm going to show you is create.microsoft.com, because this is definitely a great tool. They have pre-made templates for all things, all Microsoft tools. But if you wanted to create or browse templates specifically for Excel, you can click on the Excel icon and you can search templates that they already have created that may fit what you need, and you don't have to start it from scratch. This This to me is huge. So you're going to get more in here than you do in Excel if you go here and where they have like their templates and their standard templates here. This is different than this. This is more creative. It's their new like designer or design features. So totally recommend you checking this out because like I said, it's not just for Excel, it is for all Microsoft tools and you can just search templates for all different reasons. So definitely check this out. I can even throw this link in the chat so everybody can have that. And I am going to also stop talking. I'm going to open mics and cameras if anybody wants to ask a question or say hello. You'll have the ability to do that in 1 second. Just get to the settings. Okay, you should have the ability to unmute or turn on your camera if you'd like. I don't see any questions in the chat, so that's good. I hope you learned something that you didn't know before, and let me know how you feel this went. Give me some feedback. Let me know, if you want more of something you saw or anything else, Excel. So let me know. I'm here. I will hang out. Thank you all. I can't believe I actually made it through all of that by 1 o'clock. I hope I didn't talk too fast. But again, thank you all. It was nice seeing you virtually. And please, like I said, unmute or turn on your camera. I'll hang here and let me know if you have any questions.
Teresa?
Yes.
Hey,
Hey,
where'd you get those Excel those templates?
I put the link in the chat.
Oh, that's for the Excel template?
Mm-hmm.
All right, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. I love this. You'll have so much fun in this in this area. They
It's
have some great
great.
even they have Word templates, PowerPoint templates. I mean, bunch of stuff. Really cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Of course.